I've spent over a decade coaching cyclists, including working with athletes at all levels and stepping into the world tour. I've identified 5 mistakes that slow riders down, increase fatigue, and keep them stuck in a plateau. Fix these and I guarantee you'll start riding faster and stronger than ever before. A few years ago, I coached an athlete who felt stuck. Despite hitting higher and higher power numbers during training, their race times weren't improving. Frustrated, they thought that they needed to push harder and build more power, but they were missing something crucial. This brings us to mistake number 1, chasing higher power numbers without addressing efficiency. Most cyclists obsess over their FTP or peak power, but power is only part of the equation. Research shows that poor pedaling mechanics, suboptimal bike fit, and even minor aerodynamic inefficiencies can cost you significant speed, even at the same power. Instead of endlessly chasing bigger watts, focus on how you can generate power and transfer it to the bike. Simple changes to your position, to your cadence, to your posture can have a dramatic impact, and this includes spending time riding in aerodynamic positions while at higher intensities. I had another rider who came to me completely burnt out. They'd been training harder than ever, clocking long rides and brutal intervals, but their endurance seemed to be going backwards. And what they didn't realize was that their body wasn't adapting, it was just surviving. And this brings us to mistake number 2, avoiding fatigue instead of embracing it. Most riders fear tired legs, but controlled fatigue is essential for building endurance. One of my athletes struggled to improve their endurance during longer rides. We added late day intervals followed by an early zone 2 ride the next morning, and within weeks their ability to sustain power in longer races improved significantly. Controlled fatigue isn't about overtraining, it's about strategically teaching your body to handle real world demands. A new athlete once asked me, "What should I do to get faster? More intervals or more miles?" And when I asked about their current rides, they mentioned doing a weekly group ride just for fun with no structure. I told them the ride wasn't the problem, the lack of strategy was, and this brings us to mistake 3, not knowing what will drive your progress. Many cyclists fall into this trap of thinking that more miles or harder intervals are the solution, while ignoring how to integrate progress into their favorite group rides or social sessions. Group rides are fantastic for community and motivation, but without structure, they can hold you back. The key is to systematize your training. Identify the one area you need to improve, whether it's endurance or sprinting or climbing, and include structured intervals before or after group rides. For example, adding short, high-intensity efforts before your Saturday ride can improve your sprint without sacrificing your social time. This approach lets you train smarter while enjoying the freedom of the group ride. One athlete I coached dreaded climbs. They could keep up on the flats, but they always got dropped on steep grades. They thought it was a fitness issue, but the real problem was lack of strength. And this brings us to mistake 4, ignoring low cadence, high torque training. While most cyclists focus on high intensity intervals or fast cadences, high torque, low cadence efforts are critical for building muscular strength and endurance. A 2024 study published in the European Journal of Applied Physiology found that low cadence intervals significantly improve performance by increasing torque production and neuromuscular efficiency. We added 2 sessions per week of low cadence work for 6 weeks, and their climbing power increased, and they found it easier to respond to attacks in races. It might feel awkward at first, but this training directly translates to real-world demands. I'll never forget a rider who trained perfectly for months, but was devastated after a poor race. And when I asked them what happened, they admitted that they started too hard. They got caught in the wind and then they burnt out before the final climb. They had the fitness to win, but no strategy. And this brings us to mistake 5, treating race day as a test of fitness instead of a test of strategy. Too many cyclists line up thinking, how hard can I push, when they should be asking, how can I conserve energy until it matters most? Research found that tactical decision-making, such as drafting, positioning, and timing of effort, consistently outweighed raw performance in determining race outcomes. In training, practice saving energy for key moments. For example, structure a session with steady pacing for 80% of the ride and then finish with hard efforts in the final 20%. This not only prepares your body for surges, but also trains your mind to think tactically under pressure. Riders who master this skill consistently outperform stronger, less strategic competitors. But there's one thing that makes most cyclists perform even better in races, and I'll teach you how to do this in this video right here.